Hi, my name is Elly Ficca, and I'll be talking about my capstone on the topic of diasporic identity and the struggle for nationality, Palestinian refugees in Jordan. So to provide a little bit of background on the issue, the Palestinian diaspora is said to have begun in 1948 as a result of the Nakba, or the War of Independence, which produced around 750,000 Palestinian refugees, many of whom fled to Jordan as the largest receiver. Jordan's not only close in proximity, but it has a connection to Palestine due to its annexation of the West Bank in 1950. Overall, without going through every detail, Palestinians have been entrenched in conflict for the past 76 years, and as of 2023, there are about 8.36 million of them, 2.39 million of whom reside in Jordan. So I was curious when starting this, what does it mean to be Palestinian in Jordan? So this is my conflict map, and again, like as he said, it's a lot. But it's organized into two hemispheres centered around the Palestinian refugees in the middle here. The left side addresses the Israeli dynamics, and the right side is the Jordanian side, including the Jordanian government, which is a primary actor. Another key actor, although tertiary, is UNRWA, or the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinians in the Near East. It's in the upper right corner there. They are the primary provider of life-saving services and support to millions of Palestinian refugees in Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and the occupied territories. The map particularly called attention to the differentiation between the Jordanian national identity and the Palestinian identity in Jordan, and the Palestinians' identity's strong link with the diasporic identity. So with this, I was able to construct a specific research question. What is the impact of identity differentiation and exclusion on Palestinians in Jordan and their access to education and job opportunities? How does this affect their efforts to establish a better life? So with that question, I used qualitative research and tools such as need spheres and loop models to reveal that, number one, UNRWA is severely underfunded. As of February 2024, it fell short of its budget by $450 million. And there are also threats to its complete termination in the aftermath of October 7th. Number two was that Palestinians in Jordan without nationality have limited access to education and employment. Children without nationality must attend either private schools with steep international fees or schools which are run by UNRWA. As for employment, they're either rejected from jobs or excluded from professional associations which are required to work in specific fields such as law, medicine, engineering. Number three was that there were discriminatory practices such as differentiation policies and nationality revocations. Jordan's color-coded ID system created a three-tiered hierarchy of citizenship rights, including a Jordanian identity card, a green card for Palestinians living in the West Bank with Jordanian nationality before 1988, and a yellow card for Palestinians living in Jordan who obtained nationality. Between 2004 and 2008, possession of the green or yellow card served as a basis for nationality revocation, where 2,700 between this time frame Jordanians of Palestinian origin lost their nationalities. And number four was that there were Jordanian fears of instability. This fear has been seen in 2013 and again in 2023 when Jordan refused Palestinian refugees from entry. This is partially due to their support of the right return and preventing a mass exodus, but also due to the demographic threat and fear that Jordan will become an alternative Palestinian homeland. So I found three particular lenses helpful when addressing or when thinking about these themes. Primarily was diaspora and migration, specifically diasporic identity. So when members of a group who have been dispersed construct a shared identity which is oriented to their original home. These theories also show that diasporas are events that co-construct conflict, that they've been securitized as threats through discourse, and that they can end in creativity, solidarity, and reintegration in a way that preserves their original identity. The second category is intergroup relations, specifically social identity theory, which reveals how when we are categorized into groups, we undertake social identification, leading to in-group favoritism and out-group prejudice. These theories shed light on why differentiation tools inform identity in Jordan. The last is what I call feeling stuck, which uses attractor landscapes and intractability, which was particularly insightful for understanding the sentiment of refugees, donors, and activism fatigue. So my first intervention addresses the need to secure basic needs for Palestinian refugees in Jordan who rely on UNRWA. With threats to the agency, the proposed solution is a strategic forum involving key stakeholders such as UNRWA donors, Palestinian representatives, and potential future donors. The forum uses systems thinking to simulate and analyze the impact of different funding outcomes, fostering collaboration across diverse perspectives by testing scenarios based on different mental models and showing the detrimental humanitarian effects of cutting funding completely and decreasing the funding. This approach aims to secure sustainable funding, protect the agency's operations, and ensure the basic needs of Palestinian refugees. The second intervention seeks to ensure Jordan's security through self-governance. In 1970, Palestinian resistance movements gained traction, challenging Jordanian authority and resulting in violence and attempted assassination on the king, and ultimately the PRM's complete expulsion from Jordan. This event, known as Black September, reshaped the Jordanian national identity, emphasizing East Jordanian or Transjordanian values while marginalizing Palestinian Jordanian through de-Palestinization and Jordanization policies. The proposed intervention is a dialogue and deliberation, which through sharing experiences, addressing stereotypes, and collaboratively developing policy recommendations, focuses on rebuilding trust, reducing that hierarchical citizenship, and influencing equitable policy change regarding Palestinian inclusion. Participants include Palestinian Jordanians, East Jordanians, and the members of the Jordanian government. The third addresses the need for open communication and expression for Palestinian Jordanians. Palestinians of Jordanian origin face significant social and legal differentiation, as well as the fear of speaking out due to being labeled as ungrateful. I propose implementing conversation cafes. These discussions provide a safe space for individuals to share their experiences and build mutual understanding. Targeting Jordan's youth, the cafes will run bi-weekly over 12 sessions. This approach fosters trust and social cohesion to redistribute power, amplify marginalized voices, and pave the way for long-term policy reforms. So thinking about sustainability, I developed this network map. There are 4 groups of actors. The Jordanian actors are in the purple, which is kind of hard to tell in color on here, but the Palestinians are in orange, the organizational actors are in blue, and the international entities are in yellow. The network structure is closed as there are significant barriers to entry and participation in society, but also physical barriers to entry for refugees. It's centralized and hierarchical as the king holds executive authority. There are structural holes, particularly here, between the Jordanian officials in government and the Palestinian sector. However, these do exist, but there are potential brokers whose unique positioning within the network offer social capital to bridge these gaps, such as Queen Rania, who has Palestinian heritage. And lastly, homophily exists in alignment with the identity groups. Homophily is also one of the main challenges as it limits people's social worlds and therefore must be overcome in order to ensure sustainability. The second challenge here is the Jordanian government currently benefiting from the existing power dynamics, and that might make them reluctant to change. So in an attempt to address homophily, I propose network weaving, which involves the role of brokers to transform fragmented connections into a self-sustaining network that fosters collaboration and innovation. Secondly, to address the government's reluctance to change, I propose the leveraging of transnational advocacy networks to amplify Palestinian voices, raise global awareness, and apply external pressure on Jordan's centralized leadership. And to ensure effectiveness, participatory monitoring and evaluation methods will actively involve stakeholders, fostering ownership, addressing power dynamics, and aligning outcomes with the actual needs of the Palestinian Jordanians. Ultimately, this research reveals how the Palestinian experience in Jordan is profoundly shaped by the complexities of diaspora. Being Palestinian in Jordan today means navigating an identity intertwined with displacement, confronting ongoing differentiation, and striving for a future where both immediate needs and long-term aspirations for belonging are met. The proposed interventions underscore the potential for achieving a future where both Jordanian and Palestinian identities can coexist harmoniously.
Thanks so much, Elly. I'm going to kick it off with a question, actually, which is, I think, one thing that we all see as these presentations proceed are a number of similarities across all of them in terms of both challenges and opportunities, one of the latter being youth. And I'm just curious, and maybe urban youth in particular, in your case, what is it about that age group of 16 to 30-year-olds, or sort of youth in general, that makes you see them as a particular opportunity to bring into at least your third intervention, if not others?
Yeah. In Jordan particularly, the age range from 16 to 30 makes up 1/3 of the population. So it's a large group of influence, I would say, for creating change. I also think it's because there's like a blurred line as time goes on between kind of the difference between what is Jordanian and what is Palestinian Jordanian, as you'll hear like in Jordan. So I think as time goes on, that slowly starts to blur because people are being born there, but even though they don't have, if they're born in the refugee camps, they still might have some connection to Jordan. So I think as time goes on, you're able to see the influence that the younger population can make, and also the connections that they can make with each other without having kind of this strictly us versus them binary or contrast, I'd say. So yeah.
You're in luck. We have time for one more question, either from the audience or online.
Any current students have questions? We're in the middle of your capstone research now.
Please.
Hi. What is Jordan's motivation for trying to assimilate the Palestinians?
I would say it's more so the opposite, because actually they're trying to assimilate if they're willing to take on the like whole Jordanian national identity, but the whole point is that they're afraid that the Jordanian national identity is going to be completely erased, as like the fear stems from the similar circumstance which happened in Black September. So when the Palestinian resistance movements like gained a lot of influence within Jordan and they tried to kill the king, and there's this whole feeling afterwards where they kind of created a nationalistic identity of what it means to be Jordanian. So I would say the assimilation is less so assimilation, and it's more so protecting their traditional identity. Because also, I mentioned this here, but I didn't actually say it in the presentation, but there's been, the international community and Israel have thrown in the idea a lot, very frequently, about Jordan becoming an alternative Palestinian homeland. And that is another idea with which the Jordanian government obviously strictly opposes, but it's something which has contributed to that fear of losing their national identity.
So